I'm excited to start our evening with a very special performance from Lawrence Family Medicine Residency's own Dr. Vincent Waite.
It's a privilege to be in front of you to perform tonight. I'll perform two pieces, each of which calls us to the virtues of peace, um, peace, simplicity, and humility. The first piece is called Battles O'er or Battles Over. It's played yearly at VE Day or Victory in Europe Day to celebrate the end of World War II. And who among us tonight does not have some battles that need to be over? Whether they be personal battles, whether it be the end of COVID, which took my brother away, whether it be our own institutional crises, whether it be the end of COVID and all that means, or the end of racism in America, or the end of the horrible war in Ukraine. We all have battles that need to be over on so many levels. The second tune is called Simple Gifts. It talks about the core tenets of a religious group called the Shakers of humility and simplicity. And it was chosen by our beloved Barack Obama to be played by Yo-Yo Ma at his inauguration. And it was also the central theme of Aaron Copland, the great American composer for Appalachian Spring. The first part, Battles O'er, there will be a slight pause at the end, and then we'll play Simple Gifts. I will play it through once. There is a handout in your folder, which you can then sing along the second time through. You can stand, you can hold hands, you can do anything you want. It could be a kumbaya time. It's up to you. So, this is not a normal place for me.
Hello again. I'm Michelle Olivieri, the GME Director for Lawrence Family Medicine Residency, and I will be your Master of Ceremony this evening. I can see checks have been cashed. Thank you. I'm honored to welcome you all, family, friends, and colleagues, both here in person and streaming live. Hello, YouTube. To the graduation ceremony for the class of 2022. Please join me in welcoming our first speaker for this evening, Greater Lawrence Family Health Center's President and CEO, Dr. Guy Fish.
Thank you, Michelle. How do you follow a doctor in a kilt, right, with bagpipes? I mean, that's just like, okay, I'll try. This is a fabulous night. It's so great seeing people who are dressed so nicely, including from the waist down, no more pajama bottoms. Let's face it, nobody remembers a graduation speech, okay? Mainly because either the speaker's boring, or you're drunk, or the speaker's boring and you're drunk. So I'm going to try to keep this short. This is, if anything, a speech about rough endings and spectacular beginnings. So I've had in my life several rough endings. In 2017, I ran the Boston Marathon. It did not end well. I learned about salt depletion. In fact, it was another physician who found me outside of Newton Wellesley Hospital, gave me a couple of salt tablets, and I was able to creep along to the finish line where, thank God, a family practice physician was there and handed me a big Avian bottle. She poured a couple of teaspoons or tablespoons of that pink Himalayan salt in it, you know. I was right as rain after that. I also had a rough ending of the 2011 marathon, which was my first one. That did not end well. There I learned about calorie depletion, otherwise known as hitting the wall. And in 1988, dating myself a bit, I had a rough ending to my residency. It was, I would call, not salt depletion or calorie depletion. It was emotional depletion, right? Residency takes a lot out of you. It can be a very, very, very rough ordeal. And I was still functional, though, because I had the countervailing forces of, one, marriage to my wonderful wife over there at table 4. And so that's very similar to Zoe Gordon, who is getting married, I guess, this weekend. So congratulations, Zoe! That's one antidote to a rough ending. The other one that we had was our firstborn. Our firstborn was in January of 1988, and a little girl, and our bundle of joy. So, in many ways, because of my residency experience, for those of you graduating from LFMR, I've been where you are, but hopefully you're in much better shape than I was at the time. There were a couple differences, though. My residency was 3 years. Yours was 4 years. And at the end of it, I sort of fell into primary care. I went to go practice in rural Delaware. But you all chose to be in primary care. And that's really remarkable and special. And you should really be recognized for that. And so we're going to do that right now. One of the things that I was struck by when I was looking at who's graduating and where they're going is how many are remaining in primary care, and particularly full spectrum primary care, which means obstetrics and gynecology as well. So I want to recognize the graduates of this class for that commitment to primary care. When I call your name, please stand up so that we can recognize you. First of all, 2 people, Dr. Zoe Becker, Dr. Rebecca Joseph, please stand up. So Rebecca and Zoe are both staying with us. Couldn't be more delighted. Thank you. We were just been really super excited about that. Next, Dr. Zoe Gordon and Dr. Ryan Walker. Please stand up. Zoe and Ryan are actually staying nearby at one of our sister institutions, the Lynn Community Health Center. We couldn't be more excited for them. And if you're doing an NHS thing, come talk to us in about 3 or 4 years, please. We want you back. Next, Lance Bray and Alice Kaufman, please stand up. These two intrepid individuals are after my heart. They are going to the boonies to do primary care. God bless them. Lance is going back to his home state of South Carolina, which is actually my ancestral home back 3 or 4 generations ago. And Zoe is heading to Brattleboro, Vermont. Oh, sorry, did I say that? Oh, Alice, sorry, Alice. Alice is going to Brattleboro. I got the location right. Thank you very much. And the next two, Catherine De La Rosa and Helen Jin, please stand up. These two, when they go to sleep at night, they sing to themselves, New York, New York. Catherine is going to be an attending physician at the Institute for Family Health in the Bronx. And Helen is going to the Allen Hospital in Manhattan. So congratulations to both of you. And always in a group like this, there's someone who just can't get enough of education. Dr. Kara Smith, please stand up. Kara is heading to that fabulous institution, Duke, to the Family Health Center there as a primary care and health equity policy fellow. Congratulations. All of these individuals, we should be ecstatic because they have auspicious beginnings. What comes after that? For the group of 9 of you is up to you. Life, as I told my kids, is a multi-period game. You finish this round of being in residency, and now you're moving on to the next round, your auspicious beginning, and what comes after that is up to you. Look at me. I'm CEO of a federally qualified health center. That wasn't written. When I graduated from medical school, there were only 3 things you could do as a doctor. You could treat patients, you could do research, or you could teach. So much more than that now. We have fellows and practitioners and all kinds of things. So what happens after this auspicious beginning of yours is really up to you. The key thing is to follow your North Star. Remember what drives you, okay? In following your North Star, you were drawn to a different kind of residency. You were drawn to a different kind of medicine than that which is promulgated in the vast majority of academic medical center residency programs. Our LFM, our Lawrence Family Medicine residency is born out of a movement affirming the worth and dignity of every person to the means necessary for them to have a fruitful, beautiful life. That is our mission. That is what you were drawn to. That is your North Star. Do not forget that. And if you ever get to a point of forgetting it, I remind you, as I'm telling your loved ones here with you today, go to YouTube, because that's where you learn how to do everything, and type in Out of the Rural. Out of the Rural. It is a 20-minute video documentary of the founding of the community health center movement out of the rural. So, you have not had a rough ending. You've had a wonderful ending here. You've got spectacular beginnings. Whether you are going for the next year or 40 years in primary care, or going to hang up your stethoscope and do something like become a CEO of a federally qualified health center, it's up to you. You're going to be great. You're absolutely going to be great. You won't remember this speech, but remember your North Star. Thank you very much. Congratulations.
And now Dr. Kara Marshall will begin the group presentation of intern certificates.
While tonight's focus is on the class of 2022, I'd like to take a moment to talk about our class of 2025, who are just completing their intern year. Intern year is always incredibly intense and full of challenges, but between COVID surges and residency changes, this year has truly been a roller coaster. Despite never knowing what might come next, this group of doctors has not only made it through the year, but along the way have built the skills to deliver babies, care for them as they grow, support families, care for chronic disease, comfort those at the end of their lives, all of the myriad of things that we are privileged to do as family physicians. They are more than ready for the next steps in their journey. And if their advisors could come forward and help me, we will present intern certificates for the no longer interns, but new second-year residents of the Lawrence Family Medicine class of 2025. Any advisors, if you could come forward to present certificates? And I'll go ahead with the first one. Ina Bodanaku, if you could please come forward. And we'll recognize Jessie Fairbairn Peters, who's not here this evening. And then next, Juliet Casas. And Margot Millett. And Alma Oñate Munoz. And next, Hannah Pearson. And then Tala Radechko. Julie Scott. And Rachel Weinstock. And last, I don't believe she's here, but we'll recognize Jessica Williams.
The announcement of residency awards will be presented by Dr. Zandra Kelly.
Good evening, everyone. Before we get to the programmed awards, I'd like to do a couple of special ones. So there are many people that gave a lot of time and energy into this wonderful night we have, and we wanted to recognize in particular 2 of them. So Michelle, please come up. And Mary Lyman. So we thank you guys so much for leading the charge on having such a wonderful night for us here. So you can read along if you like in your program for tonight. But these are awards that were announced at the ceremony that was held for the graduates at Lawrence General Hospital. So we're just going to be reading through them tonight, but a number of the people are here. So you'll recognize many of their names. First, for the Faculty Excellence Award, a faculty member from Greater Lawrence Family Health Center, that award went to Sarah Pearson. And then there was another Faculty Excellence Award, this one for a faculty member from Lawrence General Hospital. And this one went to Khalid Munamar. Next, we have the Outstanding Teaching Resident Award, which went to Zoe Gordon. And then we have 2 Support Staff Awards, one of them for the Greater Lawrence Family Health Center staff, which went to Jill Els O'Brien. For the LGH Staff Excellence Award, that went to Ruby Cruz. We had a Residency Innovation Award, and that one went to Beta Book. And the 4th year Wellness Award went to Zoe Gordon. And all of those awards that I just named were voted on and presented by the residents of the Lawrence Family Medicine Residency. And the next group of awards were voted on and presented by the faculty of the residency program. And first one is the Chief Awards, which go to our 2 chiefs that are graduating, Rebecca Joseph and Kara Smith. The next one is an AFMRD Family Medicine Resident Award for Advocacy. And this year that goes to Dr. Ryan Walker. The STFM, Society of Teachers of Family Medicine, Resident Teacher Award went to Zoe Gordon this year. And then there was also an AFMRD Family Medicine Resident Award for Scholarship that this year went to Rebecca Joseph. Thank you all for your stellar work.
And now Dr. Kara Marshall will be coming back up to recognize our class of 2022 Chief Residents.
Being chief resident is always an enormous responsibility between scheduling, strategizing, trying to keep everyone up to date, responding to last-minute changes and emergencies, and overall trying to herd cats, and I'm including all of us in that. This year, between COVID surges and residency changes, the challenge has been far greater than most. was my privilege to have had the opportunity to work with Rebecca Joseph and Kara Smith. They have been invariably calm, professional, and level-headed, even in the most difficult of times. They have helped maintain a focus on what's best to meet the needs of our residency, our residents, our patients, and our community. When we had 2, 3, 4, and counting residents out with COVID, they stepped up and scrambled to fill the gaps in innovative ways so that we could make sure that our patients were cared for. Sometimes, and probably too much of the time, taking on the extra night and weekend shifts themselves. I'm so grateful to you both. And thank you, Kara and Becca, for everything that you have done. And if you could please come up for just a moment.
And now a special recognition of our departing area of concentration advisors, presented by Doctors Elise Laflamme and Katrina Baumgartner.
Hello. So as many of you know, here at Lawrence Family Medicine Residency, we have a semi-unique curriculum involving areas of concentration. Areas of concentration are a way for our residents to get niche training that they desire while also training in a full spectrum family medicine program. Each area of concentration has an advisor, and it just so happens that this year, 2 of those advisors have chosen to increase the variety in which they bless our world. As they transition to new roles, we couldn't let them move on without expressing sincere gratitude for all of their hard work and dedication. Both Eloise Edgings-Price and Chris Basitis have been AOC advisors since the inauguration of the areas of concentration. We are where we are today because of them. To start with Eloise, where is she? Not only has she provided hours of education and mentorship, often in the middle of the night, to (7 years of graduating AOC residents, I think, since the inauguration of our surgical OB AOC. But she's also rumored in history classes everywhere that she was the founder of our family medicine OB program at Lawrence General Hospital. She's carved the way for us all to do what we love to do on labor and delivery, and we're truly indebted to her in more ways than one. Words can't express my personal gratitude to Eloise, and I'm so happy to know that she's sticking around to remind us all that no one can take away our joy. Eloise, we have a token of appreciation for you. If you can come up.
Thanks, Elise. And I have the honor to recognize Chris Basitis, who's not here this evening. Maybe he's out there in virtual Zoom land. I hope he hears this. Who, among his many roles at the health center, is the outgoing director of the HIV area of concentration. He's a clinician, a colleague, a friend, and a mentor that deserves probably more than a minute of dedication for everything he's done for HIV care and training here in Lawrence and in the greater community and world. He started in 2011, and like Elise said, he founded what is today our HIV area of concentration, building it from an idea to what many residents cite as one of the most robust AOC training opportunities here in the residency, and really nationally is recognized and used as a model for other programs developing their own training tracks. It's hard to measure his many impacts. There's really too many. But just to give a snapshot of Chris, who's not here to speak for himself, but he's known as a very thorough, approachable teacher. He's readily available for questions. He's got an impressive mind for details and data. And he's really a mentor for all of us. He teaches about inclusive and compassionate care to some of our most vulnerable patients, folks with homelessness, stigma, substance use, HIV, and really grounds our work in the needs of the community. Over the years, he has trained up many doctors who've also gone on to be their own leaders in residencies and fellowships in regional organizations, really with the goal to make HIV care accessible and equitable across the US. And this year, we know Helen, who has completed the AOC this past 2 years, will go on to do great things in family medicine and as an HIV specialist. Chris will be soon leaving us, actually outside of Greater Lawrence, to a larger role to head up the national clinician consultation lines in San Francisco. And so while we deeply miss his presence and we will be missing him, it is really good to know he'll be just a phone call away. So a plug, if anybody wants the NCCC hotline number, I'm happy to hand it out after this. But let's give a shout out for Chris, who's not here.
And now for a recognition of residency and clinical support staff, I would like to call up the class of 2022.
We believe in efficiency, so you're only going to get 2 of the 9 of us tonight, but here we go.
Hey, and good evening. We're so excited to be joined by our faculty, friends, family, and clinic staff as we celebrate this milestone in our careers.
Because we decided to be different and took the road less traveled, we had a 4-year residency, but we've only got a few minutes to thank you all, so we're going to do our best. If there's a group of people that we would never have survived clinic without, it's our medical assistants. From guiding me to the right room, helping me know what pod I'm supposed to be in that day, to ensuring our patients have the correct orders, to helping us learn Spanish back when we didn't know a lick of it, to making sure that the follow-up appointments are done, even to getting us cake on our birthdays. Y'all truly do it all. Our relationships with you have all grown over the 4 years, and saying goodbye to you was the hardest part of graduation. Often you guys go the extra mile to stay after clinic and make sure patients have what they need or set them up for specialty appointments, and you're truly the backbone of our clinic experience. So we thank you for your patience and your continued support. You've all played a crucial role in making us the doctors that we are today.
We also want to give out a shout out to our nurses who ensure that our kiddos receive vaccinations even when we may forget or are often faced with the daunting task of catch-up schedules, which COVID has greatly exacerbated. A special thanks to Kirsty, who has grown with us all, and Jill, our synergy. She is so approachable, and you can message her at any moment, and she will really come to your aid. Even today, I messaged her, and she was just right there, ready to support. It's really incredible. Jill, who is our synergist expert, who teaches us so much through her years of experience. And our pod experience would not be complete if it weren't for our PSRs, who handle behind-the-scenes scheduling, insurance debacles, and everything else that our patients face just to get into our clinic.
We also want to give a special thank you to our clinical pharmacy team, who have done incredible work, whether it's helping us manage difficult discharges, getting our patients the COVID treatment that they need, or reminding us just when somebody's creatinine is a little bit too high for that diabetes medicine I was excited about.
And for our referrals department, who fight an uphill battle against our constant Zoom queries and never-ending specialist and imaging referrals. We also want to shout out our facilities department, who made incredible efforts to clean every room and common space in the height of COVID to keep us and our patients safe.
And keeping this all running behind the scenes is our incredible operations team, headed up by Bianca, who has done a great job of making residents feel like we're a part of the clinical improvement experience hearing us vent, complaining about overbooks that we probably scheduled in the first place, and of course, listening to my grand plans of how we're finally going to fix acutes.
In our 4 years, we have experienced 2 major EMR changes, 2 residency expansions, 2 CEOs, multiple space committee meetings, and major construction undertakings, a unionization, and a change in program directors. Also, a massive pandemic that affected over half of our residency experience. And on the heels of supporting the community after the gas fires. So through all these often unforeseen circumstances, our residency program has continued to be a special place to train, and that is in no small part due to our residency administration led by the incredible Michelle. How she does everything she does in a day and still manage to have her hair done is still a mystery to many.
It's always on point.
Always on point. Nails as well.
Mhm.
But for many of us, she was our first contact in knowing Lawrence, and it's clear she leaves a remarkable impression. I still remember my interview day just because of her. Michelle and her team have shown an incredible amount of dedication and caring towards our residents during what has been a tumultuous 4 years. It's an impossible game that they continue to take on each day with grace. And we see you and we thank you.
Our experience the past 4 years has been humbling, to say the least, because we are constantly surrounded by the most incredible people we have ever met. All of you at some point in time have made me feel like you are the smartest person in the world at whatever specific area that is your thing, because you're just that awesome. Our unique community health center allows us to receive training that we wouldn't really get at a larger academic center. And we are truly privileged to be able to learn from the incredible faculty who inspire us and show us what it means to come to work with passion every single day. You encourage us to pursue research, QI projects, advocacy efforts, and participating in community events, and you do it all by leading by example, and we thank you for that. Also, you're a great group of people if you ever need to go for a hike, go for a run, go kayaking, fly fishing, or just grab a beer on occasion.
Maybe even your first triathlon.
Or that.
We want to give a special thanks to Sarah Pearson, who has joined our faculty in the last year and brought a new fire to our behavioral health and wellness curriculum. Not only does she sit with us as we cry, but she also helps us learn to sit with patients as they cry, and so forth.
So as we all prepare to go our separate ways, we hope you all know how grateful we are for sharing the last 4 years of our lives with you. We're better because of it. Thank you, and we're going to miss you all.
Thank you.
And now our interim program director, Dr. Nicholas Wida, would like to say a few words.
Hi, everyone. First, thank you everyone who helped prepare this wonderful evening to the graduation committee. I think we're all cherish the opportunity to actually gather in person, as Guy mentioned, more than we used to a certain extent as well. So maybe a silver lining of COVID. I'd also like to thank our past program director, Wendy Barr, who has done so much to kind of get us to where we are as a residency program. And now for the class of 2022, we're going to miss you. A class that straddles two sides of the COVID pandemic and the many repercussions that the stress on our healthcare system and community has experienced as a result. On the one side, they are one of the last classes to have experienced pre-COVID training and to have experienced what it was like to be able to interact with patients without masks, what it was like to socialize and gather in groups, to freely form the bonds that, frankly, patients and coworkers help us use to sustain us during the challenging years of residency training. And then they descended into the depths of COVID-based residency training, a period that I feel was best described by Adam Grant in his New York Times article as languishing, that brought so much discontent within our lives, within our work. And now, then it feels like this is the first class graduating in a setting where we are more deliberately pivoting towards reestablishing those critical interpersonal relationships, rebuilding a degree of healthcare normalcy, recognizing that this pandemic will persist with us as an epidemic that will be with us for quite some time. But let me pause for a moment and reflect on that middle bit, when you all were some of the first in the trenches to grapple with the questions of COVID. How do we predict who is going to get sicker? How are we going to improve their survival? Were the early questions, but honestly, the easy questions compared to the ones that shortly gave way to. When is the care I'm delivering when a patient dies overnight without being allowed to visit with their loved ones, or when a woman delivers alone due to COVID protocols? When is that care evidence of a universally taxed healthcare system versus evidence of systemic racism versus evidence of institutional racism versus evidence of our own internal prejudices and ambivalence? Amidst all of this, these demoralizing questions regarding all of our complicity in a system that has failed so many and that has often failed to protect us from burnout, there is the propensity to languish in frustration, to desire to walk away from the system like so many physicians have. And sometimes that's justifiable and sometimes that's necessary. But far harder is to channel that frustration, stick with it, stick with that, harness that hopelessness, and instead pursue incremental and lasting change. And that is where this class of 2022 really shined. Time after time, they built coalitions of stakeholders and worked through the logistical and institutional hoops to engage in incremental change. In response to disparities in prenatal care, they led the charge to create a beta book to track potential ectopic pregnancies that were getting missed, and the MIF and MESO protocol to help our patients who were not getting appropriate miscarriage care that they deserved. And in response to a demoralizing political environment, which notably continues even today, they incorporated a voter registration drive into our clinic and got patients registered before, during, and after their visits as they empowered our community to vote in local elections. In response to an epidemic of diabetes and obesity in our community, they coordinated a Prescribe the Why campaign to try to bridge the gap in accessibility and affordable exercise options, and created a residency obesity clinic to increase access to medications and weight loss counseling for our patients. In response to the intense challenges of becoming parents during medical training, they created a podcast to validate those frustrations and propose coping skills for others to learn from. And in response to the languishing of COVID, but also pre-existing conditions that challenge our wellness and residency, they spearheaded research into and started to work through ways to help us improve our own well-being. In response to concerns regarding diversity, they created a committee and formulated a plan to improve diversity amongst the residents and faculty that serve our community. In response to gaps to STEM education, they created an after-school program for Lawrence kids to come to the local library and learn science and math. In response to racist and prejudiced care that they witnessed, they spent hours and hours trying to have reasonable discussions regarding the importance of anti-racist initiatives with those who were often uninformed. In response to an environment that they felt sometimes didn't value their opinions, they took the time to provide difficult feedback and organized in an effort to help us all improve. It's hard to understate just how heavy of a lift all of these initiatives were. I'll never forget telling Helen that the MIFI protocol was a lost cause because it would never get through the REMS process and all the difficult hurdles that it would be challenged by. And I'll never forget wondering how Lance could be so patient as he explained Black Lives Matters and institutional racism for the 100th time to those who didn't seem to care to understand. But honestly, every one of the initiatives I described had a complex and winding road towards realizing some measure of success, and will require continued love and dedication after this class leaves to continue their progress. We're all imperfect humans who have built an imperfect healthcare system. We've built an imperfect hospital, an imperfect clinic, an imperfect residency. And sometimes amongst our many failures, it's tempting to just give up, to walk away, to languish and lob an occasional grenade in dissatisfaction. But this class of 2022, this class that lost so many aspects of personal connection that allow one to survive residency, who toiled in COVID wards surrounded by death and inequity, still found a way to pick themselves back up, to work within the system on incremental change that could truly make this residency and this community a stronger place. What a truly inspirational message that you leave the rest of us who remain behind to continue your work. And I say on behalf of the faculty and the residents here at the residency, thank you so much, class of 2022, We wish you all the best of luck in your future endeavors as you spread this message of persistence and hope in all of your future endeavors. And with that, we'll begin the presentation of the individuals.
And now, the moment you've been waiting for. Presentations of residency completion and area of concentration diplomas. In addition to their diplomas, each graduate will be receiving a book from Jenny Summers and also a personalized gift, a replica of the mural on our North Site building. Thank you to Bob Lucier, who is also our photographer this evening, for making such beautiful pieces. Starting off with the first graduate of the evening, Dr. Andrew Smith will be presenting Dr. Zoe Becker.
Good evening. I have the privilege to say a few words about Dr. Zoe Becker. What can I say about Zoe? In my mind, Zoe has exemplified three principles during the arduous path leading to her graduation tonight: idealism, enthusiasm, and kindness. First, idealism. This is the foundational ingredient that you need to do the type of work that we do at the Greater Lawrence Family Health Center. It is the bedrock upon which we build our worldview. It is the why of what we do. It was apparent from Zoe's first day in Lawrence that she is a woman of conviction. At the early age of 17, with the support of her two amazing moms, Zoe first ventured far from home to Michoacan, Mexico, to learn about community organizing. From there, Zoe continued to seek out opportunities to shape her perspectives, working with different peoples and communities over many years. Throughout her undergrad and med school years, Zoe found a home for her ideals in places like Nicaragua, Spanish Harlem, Oakland, Santo Domingo, and yes, Lawrence, Massachusetts. Despite such extraordinary experiences in far-off places, I'll admit that I didn't totally appreciate the degree of Zoe's commitment to her conviction until I had my first vegan cookie a few years ago. I mean, have you had a vegan cookie? The moral depth and virtue that it would take one to swear off butter is frankly beyond my comprehension. But to Zoe Becker, it's just another aspect of committing one's life to one's principles. Second, enthusiasm. This is the motor that keeps us going. In the words of Ralph Waldo Emerson, enthusiasm is the most powerful engine of success. When you do a thing, do it with all your might. Put your whole soul into it. Stamp it with your own personality. Be active, be energetic, be enthusiastic and faithful, and you will accomplish your goal. I mean, it sounds like Emerson was talking about Zoe Becker when he wrote that. And even in a community that hums with enthusiasm, Zoe's level is extraordinary. As if 4 years of residency wasn't enough of a challenge, Zoe also chose to do the demanding surgical obstetrics concentration, delivering 386 babies during her time here at last count. Since babies often come in the wee hours, that meant countless long nights for Zoe, called in from the comfort of her bed to assist in a C-section or support a laboring woman. In my nearly 15 years of working with residents who come in at these ungodly hours, none has matched the early morning passion and zeal of Zoe Becker. I couldn't understand. How could one person have so much energy? At times, I would catch myself searching to see if Zoe had a switch or a power source that I could tap into. I never found it. But it's not just in the dramatic moments where Zoe's enthusiasm shines. It is also in the quiet moments in clinic, or rounding in the hospital, or teaching fellow residents. It is in all aspects of her life. Third, kindness. This is the decision we make about how we regard the people in our lives. It's a lesson about accepting unconditionally. Above all else, kindness is a decision to put love for others at the top of our being. In Zoe, I see an individual who assumes the best in others in a way that makes others want to be better themselves. In offering her patience and earnest kindness, Zoe creates that space for change and growth and healing. While Zoe's kindness is something we have grown to expect, it is also a decision that Zoe makes every day and a lesson to the rest of us. Zoe, you have blessed us for 4 years with your idealism, enthusiasm, and kindness. You are a testament to your family and our health center's mission. In closing, I would like to share a short blessing written by the liberation theologian Pedro Arrupe. Arrupe offered the following reflection to his religious brothers as they prepared to go out in service to the world, evoking similar measures of idealism, enthusiasm, and kindness. His message reflects what you have demonstrated to us at Lawrence and provides a perspective for us when we need direction. Arrupe said, "Nothing is more practical than falling in love in a quite absolute final way. What you are in love with, what seizes your imagination, will affect everything. It will decide what will get you out of bed in the morning, what you do with your evenings, how you spend your weekends, what you read, who you know, what breaks your heart, and what amazes you with joy and gratitude. Fall in love, stay in love, and it will decide everything." Zoe, it has been an honor to witness the impact that you have had on our community here at Lawrence, and we couldn't be happier that you are staying right here at the Greater Lawrence Family Health Center this fall. Enjoy a much-deserved vacation, and may God bless you as you enter the next chapter of an amazing life as a healer.
Oh, a diploma. Yeah, that would be nice. Thank you.
Presenting Dr. Lance Bray, Dr. Vincent Waite.
One of the highlights of the last 4 years has been my relationship with Lance Bray. I literally remember the first day in clinic when he was so frustrated because he couldn't communicate with his patients in Spanish. I also remember 2 weeks ago in procedure clinic when he was explaining a complicated ear procedure for a consent in Spanish. A testimony to his fortitude in Spanish learning and procedural skill. I literally remember the day I read Lance Bray's application. I have it here. What was oddest and most interesting about this was not his achievements, of which there were many, but the hobby section, which he listed social justice. I'd never seen that before. What kind of a person does this? Is he the real deal, or is he pandering to the core values of the Lawrence Family Medicine Residency, which are dedication to the resource poor? Now, 4 years later, the proof is in the pudding. He received the 2022 Massachusetts Academy of Family Physicians Award for Advocacy in Public Health. In 2021, he received the Association of Family Medicine Residencies Advocacy Award. Also in 2020, he received the Lawrence Family Medicine Residency Innovation Award for advancement of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And he also received at that same time the Lawrence Family Medicine Directors Appreciation Award for partnership with Dr. Wendy Barr to create to create a residency culture of inclusion, justice, and anti-racism. He also received the AFMRD, which I don't know what it means, scholarship for advocacy to help him learn how to promote causes on a national level. He co-led the Residency Diversity Committee, which had a significant impact on recruitment of residents of color and supporting them when they arrived. He spearheaded the residency efforts to support Black Lives Matter in the wake of the murder of George Floyd. As a delegate to the Massachusetts Medical Society House of Delegates, he co-authored resolutions that advocated for access to safe and legal abortions and police abolition. He co-authored a letter that was eventually signed by hundreds of physicians in the Massachusetts Medical Society for statewide police abolition that is moving and maybe on the governor's desk. An attending noted, not only does Lance Bray pursue equality of care on a systems level, he is the quintessential family doc who sees his patients' needs in a holistic and humanistic perspective. Another faculty member says this. She writes, "Most of us focus on small things, which we feel are manageable. But Lance thinks bigger and dreams big. He questions the status quo rather than accepting it when it doesn't serve the needs of our vulnerable patients." His co-residents described Lance as fantastic, phenomenal, a teacher, a coach, a mentor who excels in all aspects of his work. One resident says, "I can't believe how much Lance Bray has taught me." Picture this vignette. It's April 2022. Lance and I are in northern Ghana, in West Africa, at a resource-poor hospital. And I spend my time, Lance is on call for the entire 200-bed hospital. And he calls me at night, and I'm there to observe him. And remember, he's not one of the AOC residents in OB, but I observed him as he delivered the infant of a female who had just had an eclamptic seizure. There was an arrest of labor, which he expertly managed by applying the vacuum extraction device. And then, above all things, there was a shoulder dystocia. The baby wouldn't come out because the shoulder was stuck. So he performed the standard McRoberts maneuver and was able to deliver the body of a extremely depressed infant whose only sign of life was a heartbeat that was slow. So there ensued after this a 45-minute drama. He's laughing. It was a 45-minute drama of which, over that period of time, the heartbeat strengthened, spontaneous respirations occurred, the limbs began to move. We were able to get him to our somewhat primitive NICU, and he was alive the following day and taking breast milk. Lance, you are more than ready to take up the mantle of an attending physician. At your worst, you're more than adequate. At your best, you're a leader of men and women. I and we are proud to have served with you. Thank you very much.
Presenting Dr. Catherine De La Rosa, Dr. Suhani Bora.
so I'm going to keep this short and sweet. Katie, I have been incredibly lucky to be Katie's advisor, her third in residency, I believe, over the past year. I've had the opportunity to get to know her and learn from her. Can you all hear me okay? Is that better? Okay, awesome. Katie has some qualities that have always been aspirational for me. She is effortlessly brilliant and competent. She manages somehow to make big tasks look easy. Tasks such as being a fantastic, compassionate, and efficient physician. Her inbox is always beautiful. Her notes are always done on time and excellent. Her patients love her. Another task she made look effortless is finding a job. From deciding which type of job she wants, to finding it, negotiating the contract, all of it. She made it look so easy. It was incredible. Her other superpowers are balance, groundedness, and humility. She has such a solid sense of herself, who she is, and what matters to her, that she's able to keep her calm and purpose amid multiple stressful events. Many of us have encouraged her to teach, and she has been identified by her colleagues as an exceptional teacher. She's a teacher who teaches not only with intention, but by example. Her future colleagues and patients in New York are lucky to have her in their lives. And then from her AOC advisor, Katie was amazing. She's always taking initiative and not being overconfident. She even improved with her anger management skills.
Presenting Dr. Zoe Gordon, Dr. Elise Laflamme.
I made the rules for the length of these speeches. Okay, so I actually need some audience participation. Please raise your hand or stand up if Zoe Gordon has ever brought positive energy to your day, ever. Whoa. I guess some of you don't know her yet, but that's fair. Maybe she filled the hanger management box just at the right time that you really need something in your belly. Katie. Maybe she made you art. Maybe she turned your day around or pushed it forward in the right direction through a friendly conversation. My point is that Zoe has been a shining light for many during her time at Lawrence Family Medicine Residency. She has this natural tendency to shower those around her with down-to-earth compassion, understanding, and hope for the future. She has such an extraordinary gift of closing traditional relationship gaps with humanism, and she's able to put forward this caring energy even in difficult times, which we all know. She has quite literally been able to lift up those around her over the past 4 years, and I imagine this is not unique to her GLFHC relationships. Zoe has been known to bake birthday cakes and goodies for her co-residents. She initiates the decoration of infant onesies for the newest members of our residency family. She decorates office spaces and residency rooms when members of our team are relocating or celebrating a life event. She plans bonding events for residency family and naturally encourages a cohesiveness that we are all so very thankful for at LFMR. Through all of her actions, Zoe is humble and kind. Her way of making those around her feel welcome and appreciated has been a key to building relationships and positive culture at the LFMR family. But her caring nature doesn't stop at the arts and crafts table. She's known to greet her patients and support staff with an authentic and friendly welcome, genuinely wanting to know how those around her are doing. No matter how busy or overwhelming her day might be, she stays present in her interactions, and she makes the person in front of her feel like the most important person in the room. Her past and future patients are so lucky to experience her skilled ability to connect with others in a compassionate way. And somehow, while providing top-notch, empathetic care to patients, she's also able to incorporate the latest evidence-based approach with ease. She's often teaching her preceptors about the latest New England Journal of Medicine study or running our residency AFP journal club. She humbly shares her research and findings with her teams while ensuring that the patients under her care are getting only the most up-to-date evidence care possible. I urge you to pay attention to Zoe as she changes the world for the better. She's an agent for positive transformation, a leader, and a shaker-upper. She is rightfully so bothered by unethical decisions and will stand up for what is right. Locally, she's led initiatives to ensure that patients at GLFHC and LGH are receiving trauma-informed care, and she's worked to educate our hospital staff about trauma-informed care through formal presentations, but also just in the way she cares for her patients day to day. A sensitive topic, but just a month ago, she organized a last-minute demonstration in Indianapolis, and by last minute, I mean like within 24 hours, after the bill to overturn Roe v. Wade was leaked. She brings people together with her passion for social justice and healthcare rights, and I fully expect us to see her leading and advocating in her career to come. No pressure, though. In closing, I'd like to selfishly ask, who will fill Zoe's shoes? There will be a void at LFMR that will only be filled again when we convince Zoe to return to Lawrence Family Medicine residency in a few years. For the time being, I urge you to honor Zoe's legacy. Treat those around you with compassion and care. Ask about the families of your colleagues. Ask about what is important to your colleagues. As Zoe has so done beautifully, work to bridge the faculty-resident gap. And use data to support your decisions when you can. And stand up for what is right. Zoe, thank you for making such a positive impact in my life over the past 4 years. I feel so lucky to have worked with you and can't wait to see what your future holds. The important things, like your graduation. Is it good?
Presenting Dr. Helen Jin, Dr. Julie Johnston.
So before I celebrate my residents, I wanted to acknowledge the SCOTUS decision this morning, removing healthcare decisions from women and persons with a uterus that is weighing heavily on the hearts and minds of many here tonight. As the coordinator of the Gynecology and Women's Health rotation in AOC, I want all of our graduates to be confident as you offer patient-centered contraception wherever you may go. You receive the most evidence-based contraception and emergency contraception and miscarriage management training that there is to offer. Normally, I'm a little sad when our residents are leaving, but today I am hopeful that a Lawrence grad will be available to help with contraception or navigate a really tough reproductive healthcare choice. We have trained you to be the doctors that your patients need, from Massachusetts to South Carolina, especially at this time. I have so much faith in all of you, and all hope is not lost. Thank you. Now we're going to pivot to Helen. So I am very honored to speak about Helen Jin tonight as her academic advisor. Over the past 4 years, I have tried to answer all of Helen's questions, thinking eventually they may come to an end. But alas, she may know more about me than I know about her. But maybe this is just her MBA skill in practice. This intellectual curiosity at times feels like you are being interviewed when you are just trying to discuss her goals. This special trait allows Helen to learn so much about medicine and the world in general, which serves her patients and those on teams that she leads. After finding her AOC calling in HIV medicine, with a shortened timeline, she soared ahead to systematically tackle the national HIV curriculum and getting through every single module in record time. She supported teaching efforts of other residents and AOCers on the HIV track. Helen also spearheaded the STFM presentation on Hep C treatment education and competency in family medicine residency programs this spring, which was very well received and will have a national impact. Helen has had an ongoing role in the development of the clinic HIV prevention efforts and protocols, specifically HIV pre-exposure prophylaxis. As Nick mentioned already, Helen also helped move the miscarriage protocols forward, adding mifepristone to misoprostol, which is now the national standard. Despite passing the family medicine boards already this spring, Helen is planning to review medical content over the summer so as not to miss out on anything that could impact the care of her future patients. Dr. Jin will be leaving Lawrence to care for patients in New York, where she will be able to use her advanced HIV knowledge. I wish Helen all the best in her new adventure. I wish for her to find balance in and outside of the clinical setting. As you can see, please look on all of your tables. She created the ceramic vases on all 16 tables that are here tonight. So she is already an accomplished ceramic artist, but feel free to share with her ideas for fun and non-academic pursuits. Best wishes, Helen. More stuff.
Presenting Dr. Rebecca Joseph, Dr. Jenny Summers.
I have the distinct honor and privilege to introduce Dr. Rebecca Joseph. She is a fierce physician leader and a change agent. In February 19, I was already impressed by her clinical acumen. I started in February 19, and then I started in the residency in July 2019. I was already impressed by her clinical acumen, and I was assigned to be Dr. Joseph's advisor. I was imagining this traditional advisor-advisee relationship, visions of mentorship, and really quickly my bubble was burst when she asked me, "Are you going to be my advisor now?" This was in the middle of her second year. I was a new advisor for her, and it was a bit of a surprise. I don't think we announced it correctly. I learned quickly that there was going to be a duality in our relationship, that I would learn as much from her as she would learn from me. A lot of the time, I was being taught, not the other way around. She's not afraid to receive hard feedback, have difficult discussions, or tell me what's up, what really is up. Becca is also one of the most supportive people I know. Somehow sensing when I needed a little help, she was always there for me, just right standing next to me. Three examples I'd like to tell you about. Once was an Amarillo meeting. I had brought a pear upside down cake in my brilliance, and I was really nervous about flipping it out. And I was late, and I was frazzled, and I was supposed to be leading the meeting, and Becca was right there. And she flipped it out, served the cake, and everybody was happy. And I was like, she made it look so easy. Another time, we were out on a walk with my 7-year-old and my 10-year-old, and all of a sudden, my 7-year-old was missing. Becca and I had been deep in discussion, and I just had no idea where he was. Becca found him, of course. He was up on the top of a mountain. She was right there for me every moment. And my favorite memory is when we were in procedure clinic. I told this story this morning. She was doing a toenail removal. I do not like toenail removals. And she let me cower in the corner, barely watching, completed the procedure perfectly, and everything was great. And I didn't throw up, which was good. As our relationship developed, I realized there was no one I would rather or could trust more with my fears, sometimes my worries, and my pandemic blues. It has not been an easy 3 years for anyone, but Becca has had some tough years, and yet she handled each struggle with grace and waltzed through her training, much of it on one leg. I'm not quite sure how she did so many C-sections and so many clinic visits on one leg. But she did. She did it all. She did QI projects, Miffy Mizo, the Implicit Project, the Beta Book, Prescribe the Why, voter registration. She was a chief resident. She did C-section training. She did abortion training. Clearly an amazing physician. So tonight, I would like to raise a glass to a fierce physician leader, the hardest worker I know, my teacher and friend, Dr. Becca Joseph. Congrats.
Presenting Dr. Alice Kaufman, Dr. Anthony Valdini.
Yes, I'm still alive. That wasn't on the paper. I'm delighted to present a diploma to Alice Kaufman for completion of her 4-year residency. Doctors Marshall and Harris helped me very much put these thoughts together. I've known Alice since she was a medical student, somehow scoring faculty office space on the 3rd floor of Haverhill Street. This gave her access to the EMR, the patient registry, the internet, and the entire faculty as advisors. Great resources to start a project. In a spate of nosiness, I asked her who she was and what was she up to. She told me of her plans to bring food to all the people of Lawrence who needed it, and then record their improved healthcare results. How's that for plucky? Yeah. Nourishing hungry people is one thing. Answering the question, how do we know that a change is an improvement, is another. Remember, she was just a student. Our hats are off to her as a natural researcher as well as an advocate. Because Alice provided some important and critical pieces of the hunger puzzle here in Lawrence, we now screen patients for food insecurity. And we have a remedy for food insecurity, which is called food. Through the monthly arrival of a tractor trailer laden with fruits and vegetables, and now peanut butter and beans. Okay, who remembers complementary amino acids making a whole protein? Come on, somebody. All right, okay, yeah, okay. Well, that's what we're doing now, without meat. Kind of great. Page 2. It's big type, so don't anybody get nervous. Okay. Also, we now help our patients enroll in SNAP, which is food stamps, WIC, Women, Infants, and Children's Nutrition Program, to ensure healthy moms and babies. GLFHC also cooperates with Project Bread, Neighbors in Need, the Y, the Mayor's Health Task Force, and the Veterans Administration. Is anybody here from any of those organizations? Well, I want to thank our partners for feeding hungry people in Lawrence, even if you're not here. Previously, with no food to give hungry patients, screening for food insecurity was a cruel joke. Now, our MAs can happily help with this, knowing that their efforts will bear fruit. That was for Michelle. We're not saying that Alice did all this by herself, but she was the prime mover, along with Liz Quinn, gathering attention and resources so that the health center could address this vital social determinant of health. What else? What you'd never ask. Alice has worked hard to be the doctor her patients need. And no one listens more carefully, nor feels more deeply than she. Her patients adore her, and several have transferred into her practice after Dr. Kaufman's hospital care demonstrated her willingness to go the extra mile for each and every one. Alice has been all in for patient care, despite the challenges of a difficult 4-year residency, a 2+ year pandemic, and raising 2 small children. She has volunteered for extra work even when, according to several faculty members, she was the last person to have time for it. Additionally, her advocacy via podcasts for mothers in medicine added just one more to the nourishing gifts she has given to our community. Congratulations to Dr. Kaufman and your family. We will miss you. We will miss your optimism, your pluck, and your willingness to help patients and team members again and again. Sabemos que lo mejor está por venir. We know the best is yet to be. Felicidades, mi hija. Vaya con Dios.
Presenting Dr. Kara Smith, Dr. Jonathan Litchkis.
So there are a few early signs that Dr. Kara Smith was going to join the health systems leadership area of concentration. Early on in intern year, we have residents sit in the pod at Have Street to observe how the team can possibly work. And typically the feedback we get from observing the pod after about a half day is like, oh my gosh, this clinic is so busy. It's a little chaotic, but there's good teamwork. People communicated well. And do I really have to practice here? Kara had some different comments. All right, Kara was like, okay, yeah, the system's working, but you're relying on a star performer to do your triage process. And what happens when he leaves, which is happening in a week? This is not a functioning system. Moreover, you're relying on the individual's memory to do a bunch of tasks. There's no built-in redundancy. And so this is not a reliable process. So this was July of intern year, right? So I'm like, oh my gosh, what do we have? Fast forward, 18 months later, she decides to pursue the area of concentration, much to my delight. And it's been a complete joy to work with her over the past 4 years. From whether it was improving our social determinants of health screening or helping patients be connected to social service organizations to meet those social needs that we identified, she's able to work with teams and enable them to get the job done. She has this ability to both see the big picture, but also identify the details that matter. Of the many remarkable leadership traits that Kara has, trustworthiness, integrity, the ability to bring people together, articulate a shared vision, I think one of the biggest ones that I admire is her ability to accept responsibility, to take up the challenge when it's needed, and to step up in those moments of crisis. So what did Kara do? Amidst a pandemic, she decides to become a chief resident, which at the best of times is a little crazy. What else does she do? She decides to pursue additional training in procedural care and abortion to help women realize their fundamental rights to health care. Kara, a few months ago, I made a comment about you staying at Greater Lawrence, and you replied to me that, well, Greater Lawrence is saturated with me and my counterpart, Dr. Tuan Roy. And I want you to know that we will never be saturated without you. Your combination of intellect, compassion, and drive for improvement is unique. Your ability to take teams from this will never work to this might work to this will work is inspiring. And Duke is damn lucky to have you. It's been awesome working with you and learning from you these past 4 years. And I can't wait to see what challenge you accept next. Congratulations.
Last but certainly not least, presenting Dr. Ryan Walker, Dr. Suhani Bora.
Okay. All right. There you are. So first I'm going to read what your advisor, who couldn't be here, Dr. St. Louis, sent me. So I'll just be reading. So this is from Josh. I'm sad not to be here this evening to celebrate Dr. Ryan Walker. Serving as Ryan's academic advisor for the past 4 years has been an incredible privilege. When Ryan approached me about speaking on her behalf at graduation, she was true to her humble nature when she asked me just one thing: please don't speak for more than 3 minutes. For somebody whose resume includes first-generation college student, Latin honors to accompany a double major at University of Miami, City Year alumna, Gates Millennium Scholar, Family Medicine Leads Emerging Leader Institute, and Project Reach alumna, I think it says a lot about Ryan that she prefers to stay out of the spotlight. The truth is that Ryan is the epitome of an excellent family doctor. Her holistic and humanist approach to patients allows her to build strong relationships and really work together towards health and wellness. I will stick to my promise of not going over 3 minutes by saying that I'm so thrilled to see Ryan continue along her path of excellence and will joyfully call her a valued colleague. So now this is me. All right. So the first thing I noticed when I first met Ryan was that she knows exactly what she wants. She has a clear vision. She always has a plan. She also has incredible people skills and system skills to create sustainable change within a large, complex, convoluted organization. And when her plans don't always go as planned, she makes new, better plans. She handles challenges with grace, competence, and kindness. She's always teaching, often by example. I have learned so much from her, and I am thrilled she will continue to work with us, even if only for a little bit of her time. And I also want to thank her for her courage in taking on the brand new area of concentration integrative medicine, which she helped create over the past 2 years.
Thank you so much to everyone who joined us, both virtually and in person on this special evening. And now, in true LFMR fashion, our annual graduation closing toast will be presented by Dr. Karen Jacobson.
Wow, you've got a lot of stick-to-itiveness. We're here, we're still going. Great night. Yes, this is a toast. You don't have to raise your glass, yes, if you don't want. It is a pleasure and a privilege to stand in front of all of you tonight to celebrate and toast our 2022 graduating class. You are our 26th class. Amazing. When I think back at the history of our residency, I am astounded. It all began with Dr. Glenn O'Grady. You're right. Glenn O'Grady, family doc, Brown University, family medicine, 1988. Glenn's father-in-law lived in Andover, Massachusetts. His father-in-law sent him a little advertisement from the Lawrence Eagle Tribune. Doctor needed in community health center in Lawrence. There was Glenn, got the job. 2 years later, Glenn was medical director. That's how it happened back then, and probably still happens in small health centers. So in 1990, Glenn was medical director. And what's the job of a medical director? Recruit. So he came back to the well, he came back to Rhode Island, where 12 of us happened to be graduating from the Brown residency program. And he snagged 6 of us. 6. No sooner had I walked through the doors of 150 Park Street, and Glenn says to me, "So, what do you think? You want to have a residency?" I'm thinking to myself, is he crazy? I'm a doctor. I'm new. I just want to be me. I had little ideas. Glenn had big ideas. He kept going at it and going at it. He said, "Listen, we don't have to keep recruiting. We have a wonderful community. We can have a residency. New medical students, residents are going to learn about community medicine, and there'll be people going to want to stay here." Okay, I said. Well, he reached out to Blair, my husband, and they wrote the application together, 50-50, off to Kansas City. You can't say no to Glenn. Bam, they had a residency. That was somewhere in the early 1990s. But the unique piece about our residency, it was the first residency in the nation to be seated at the community health center. It wasn't the hospital, though I must say Lawrence General was a great partner. Joe McManus was the CEO back then. We worked closely together. But it was right here in River City at our community health center. Now, as we know, Lawrence is a very unique city, right? Lawrence was created in the 1850s, a little piece of Andover, a little piece of North Andover. Let's get some of Methuen. I don't know if Haverhill got into it. However, it was a city basically to house workers. And it was an immigrant city. In the early 1850s, people came from the Eastern Europe, the Slavs, the Jews, Italians, Germans, Irish. And then the turn of the century, people came from the Mideast from Lebanon. 1950s, Puerto Rico. 80s and 90s, Dominican Republic. In the 2000, Guatemala and Central America. It is a city of immigrants, which I think resonates with most of us, perhaps a little less if your ancestors had been stolen from Africa and enslaved for many years, or if you're indigenous. But I think still the spirit of newness, right? Starting anew has been a torch for us. It's been a spark for us, because who doesn't want to help the new guy in town? So you're probably saying, how do our early beginnings and our commitment to our community relate to our 2022 graduates? And I say everything. Everything. Each and every one of you came with a fiery commitment, a commitment to serve this community, a commitment to help people have a better life, healthy life, happy life, to develop relationships that are loving. As Jeff Geller taught us many years ago, one of our early residents and attendings, loneliness can have a dire impact on our health. So we don't want anyone to be lonely. So then we say, who are these 2022 graduating residents? When I think of them, these are the words that come to mind: hardworking, responsible, take charge, and also go with the flow, adaptable, flexible. So take charge, what does that mean? Not like take charge. No, not that kind of take charge. It's more like there's a bunch of chaos out there. A lot of chaos, there's a lot of problems. What's going on? All of a sudden, in the back, there's a pass, whoosh, and everybody knows where to go. There's a direction. And the next thing you know, everyone's patting each other on the back. Good job, good job. That's the take charge. Responsible. Nah, not the regular responsible. It's a different kind of responsible. There's this Yiddish word, achreus. The Hebrew is achreyut, and the root is achar. What does that mean? It means other, as an other person. So this kind of responsibility means responsible to the other person. In other words, if you make a decision, maybe it doesn't turn out so right, you stick right with it. There's no throwing anyone under the bus. You are responsible to the other person. That is leadership, and that's a gift. And we thank each and every one of you because you all demonstrated that. So now it's time to pick up our glasses. To Zoe Becker. Zoe, you are a person of action. I had the privilege to work with Zoe in the spring of 2020 when things weren't so good, as you remember. And I was in the comfort of my home, and Zoe was in the hospital all gowned out with all kinds of crap. And I got to watch her. I was on a little Zoom camera. She's making decisions, and I'm right next to her. It was really cool, I gotta say. I saw everything she did, everything she thought. And then she went into the room. I saw her. I was on a little iPad. We talked to the patients, and she was amazing. Zoe, you're a woman of action, determination. We love you. Thank you. Lucky us staying at Greater Lawrence Family Health Center. Woo! To Lance Bray. Lance, talk about a man of perseverance, quiet strength. You are always there to be supportive. When Athena came in, the EMR, you were there to help all of us, residents, attendings alike. You were amazing. And I can only imagine as you go back to your home state, the joy your family feels. Woohoo! And your future patients. Off to South Carolina. Lucky them. Woohoo! To Katie Della Rosa. Katie, she keeps it real. Genuine. There's no bull dipping around with Katie. And even when Katie has to give you some sort of tough, sad, difficult news, somehow she can put a little positive spin on it. You walk away with hope and you feel her compassion. Thank you. Off to New York City. To Zoe Gordon. Zoe, you are not afraid to take on complex problems and break them down into small, moving parts. You sit and you analyze them and you keep going. I've watched you from afar as you've talked with families and patients to navigate through really difficult situations. And you always do it with grace and kindness. Off to Lynn, lucky them. Helen, to Helen Jin. Helen looks at a situation with a really unique perspective. Helen, you ask probing questions, never the ordinary with Helen, because Helen really wants to know how something works. She really wants to make things better and effective. Helen, thank you so much for pushing us. Off to New York City. Rebecca, to Rebecca Joseph. Rebecca is a person of determination. Nothing will stop her. Whether it's baking the best cake that ever was, or wielding the scalpel in the OR fast, or following up on every little detail to be certain the patient is safe, or maybe it's just helping everyone out to solve a problem. You make it look so effortless, and we thank you. Staying at Greater Lawrence, lucky us. To Alice Kaufman. Alice, where are you? Oh, there you are. Alice, you are a mother of two, a wife, a daughter, a physician. Each and every role you do with a full heart and a full soul. Your empathy is palpable, and you turn your empathy into action, and your patients feel so well cared for. Off to Vermont, lucky them. To Kara Smith. Kara hails from the Midwest. You are kind, thoughtful, and respectful. And you're such an amazing listener. You can almost hear those gears moving. And then your facial expression, when you know, oh my God, you know what you're going to do. Your eyes are just about popping out because you're on it. You're doing it. It's great. Off to Duke. Lucky them. To Ryan. Where are you, Ryan? To Ryan Walker. Ryan, you are such a patient-centered physician. Like, you really do listen to your patients. you, you like really do hear what they say, and you do what they want. And you don't compromise care. And most importantly, no judgment. Never judgment with Ryan. And she makes everyone feel so good. You give each and every one a smile and a little laugh, and they feel wonderful. Thank you. Off to Lynn. Lucky them. So we can really raise now. To all of you in 2022 graduating class, we are deeply indebted to you. These have been 4, count them up, 4 challenging years, and you have given over 200% of yourselves. We're so grateful to you. We wish you each much health, happiness, success in your future, because we know you're going to be successful in whatever you do. L'chaim, mazel tov. Woo-hoo!